Thank you, everybody, and prepare to be disrupted. I've got about 10 minutes to disrupt you, so let's see what I can do. I probably don't look like your archetypal disruptor. I'm sorry, I'm not in jeans and I'm not 20. But the company I work for is full of them. In fact, sadly, I go in there and most of the people are younger than my children. But let me just explain a bit about myself and a bit about the company and start disrupting you. Okay. I've worked in this industry, compensation benefits, for probably over 30 years. I'm a bit of a sort of pioneer in this industry. I was the managing partner of the human capital practice at Ernst & Young, EY, who I'm sure you all know, and I've worked with similar firms before that. Anyway, I then started a business, which was very successful, took it off massively, and I sold it out to a quoted company. Okay, and that was me done. Then I started angel investing. So I do have 6 jobs at the moment, and one of them is here as an angel investor, and I help as a strategy advisor. We are a VC-backed company. We've got a lot of well-known investors. Probably our most famous investor at the moment is Roman Abramovich. So as you can imagine, there are some funds behind us in terms of what we're doing to disrupt this industry. Probably not so good to mention Russians these days, but you know, hopefully it's still okay. Benivo. Benivo comes from the word bienvenue, bienvenito, you know, whatever, bienvenuto, which is welcome in, I think, 8 European languages. And our mission is to make every employee welcome, and that's what we are. We are an employee welcome company. Now, the English word welcome is actually exactly the same as the word bienvenue. It literally is welcome. It's not just welcome, it's welcome. To come well, to arrive well. And that actually is what we try and do. We help people arrive well at work. Okay. So that's really our game. Now let's just talk a little bit about reward, which is an area that I sort of grew up in, and I'm sure you'll know about this. Okay, what we know, and we all spend our time designing incentive programs, yeah? Okay, most incentive programs don't work. Okay, sorry. Or if they work, they only work to help the employee achieve the incentive. Okay. If you haven't read it, there's a great study written many years ago by a guy called Professor Alfie Kahn. It was in the Harvard Business Review, called Punished by Rewards. Okay? And he makes the point that there is actually no difference between a carrot and a stick. The carrot is saying, do this, and you'll get that. The stick is saying, do that, and you'll get this. Okay? They are the flip side. And the only thing that a carrot encourages you to do is to get the carrot. As another, I can't remember who, but another leading academic put it very nicely, if you offer your employees carrots, don't be surprised if they turn into donkeys. Okay? So what we want to do is actually take reward out and maybe focus some of it, not all of it, into other areas that don't create donkification, if there's such a word. This is a very interesting study. This was Intel. This is much more recently. Intel lined up 3 groups of employees on identical factory lines making chips, microchips. Okay, so you had 3 groups of employees doing exactly the same, pretty basic bit of stuff. And they were told on the first day that their target was produce a certain number of chips. Now, as it happened, they all met the target. Okay? At the end of the first day, the workers on the first group were given a $30 bonus for what they'd achieved. On the second group, they were given a voucher to go out for a local pizza restaurant with their family. And the third group just got a letter from the CEO, or a message from the CEO saying, congratulations, you've done a really good job, very grateful, thank you. Okay. The interesting thing is what happened over the next couple of days. The employees who got the cash actually performed worse over the next couple of days because they started to realize they weren't going to get the money again. That was one-off. Okay? So they had become, if you like, addicted to the fact they were going to get cash. And when they realized they weren't getting cash, they thought, well, why bother? Okay? So actually, the incentive had caused a problem. The people who got the pizza voucher, that also slowed down, but not as much because there was a bit of a family experience when they got the voucher. The group that did the best was actually the group that just got the thank you. It worked more efficiently than cash. Now, what we know, this is research by Accenture, what we know is that some times in your work are more stressful than others. Okay? So when are the most stressful times? Well, when you're doing interviews at the beginning and you finally get the job offer, that's quite a stressful time because you then think about what it's going to be like. when you start work, or in fact, before you start work, you might have to relocate to a new town. And one of our clients, for example, is Vodafone. A load of people have to go to Newbury, which is probably not a place a lot of them have heard of. And so it's stressful thinking about how am I going to settle in my new location. First day on the job, very stressful. How do I do it? Who are my new friends? Where's the coffee machine? How does the photocopier work? Da, da, da. All these sort of really stressful questions. And then there's other times that are stressful. You know, a friend gets fired, bereavement, other things that are not really in our bag. But there are these stressful times. Now, our point is, why not focus some of your reward actually at the areas where maximum stress? Because the same research, what it demonstrates is that if you want to get bang for your buck in terms of the reward, focus it at times when you're actually helping your employees. Okay, if you give reward to a happy employee, you'll get some benefit. If you help out an unhappy employee or a stressed employee, then you're really providing a big benefit. So that's what we're sort of focusing in on, are the times of maximum stress. The other thing I'd say is that as HR leaders, we tend to actually rely too much on the relationship between the manager and the employee. And a lot of employees will leave your organization because they don't like the manager, not because they don't like the organization. Okay? What can we do to actually show that we as an organization institutionally care for our employees? Okay? And don't just rely on the line manager who may not fully get it in terms of the whole employee experience world. So our aim, and I'll start now going on to the technology and stuff, is that to make reward packages that can institutionally enhance the employee experience. That's what we're looking to do. And we try to liaise with people, not liaise, we try and engage with people at our client companies on 4 areas. And those 4 areas are emotionally, we want to engage with them emotionally, digitally, so we want to engage with them in the online world, physically, we want to engage with them by actually giving them something that's tangible, physical, as a gift. And lastly, financially. We want to engage with them financially. And the solution that I'm going to show you now, the disruptive solution, I've spent a lot of time getting to it, but hopefully you'll bear with me as I start showing you some of it, is aimed at all 4 of those levels. Okay, so this is what we try and do. Okay, so I'll walk you through a couple of examples. This one is actually General Electric. Everybody gets an onboarding website. That's not actually onboarding, it's probably pre-boarding, okay, because they get access from the very day they get the job offer. That may be employees moving from overseas, or it may be coming to the country, it may be employees who are just new starters, interns, graduates, MBAs, what have you. It may be a group move, okay. And when you're starting work, there's one question, and really only one question that you need to know the answer to. And that question is this: what do people like me do? That's all any new employee wants to know. And what our solution does is it answers that question. So it'll answer the question like, someone like me starting work, what's the best area of town to live in? What sort of accommodation do people like me have? Do we go for a 1-bedroom apartment? Do we go for a flat share? Do we live in a house? Do we sofa surf? What do people like me do when we start work? What about registering with the doctor? How do I go about doing that? Do I need to do people moving abroad? How do I register with Social Security? Do I need a new driving license? Okay. But also much more personal questions like, what are the best clubs in town? Is there a good health club? What's a good jogging route? What are some good restaurants? What are good days out for this new place where I'm living? Okay. Because what you find with many employees, and I'm sure you've all found this, is when you start work, 3 months later, you're thinking, oh gosh, if I'd known then what I know now, I would have done it differently. And they all pester you as HR and reward professionals to say, you know, after they're starting work, or maybe they don't because they're nervous, is to ask you the same questions about how do I do this? But the answer is your organization knows the answer because there's a previous generation who've done the same. So what we do is we use what we call social insights. We collect information from the organization. So this one's Vodafone. So the next generation of Vodafone employees can know what the last generation of Vodafone employees did. Which banks did they find the best? Which clubs? All that sort of stuff that you've got is all collected. And initially we collect it by doing a survey, and that's goes into feeding the website. But after that, it just learns from itself, because every generation that comes through is enhancing itself and is answering that very, very simple question. What should people like me do? It's actually not a difficult question. And it's like on Millionaire, it's like ask the audience. The audience always seems to know. Okay? Well, your audience are your employees, and they can pass this out to your employees by doing something as simple as this. We build communities. So we have, within the platform, we have WhatsApp groups, so your employees can talk to each other, which are moderated, don't worry. Okay? So your employees, or your new employees, can talk to each other to say, well, actually, I'm starting work, who fancies going for a drink, or what's it like, or ask this. So they're all communicating with each other. And this, and they're learning from each other. Let's face it, anytime you buy anything, typically, you go on Amazon, yeah? And when you go on Amazon, about the first thing you do is you read the user reviews. You don't necessarily trust the product information because you know that's a sell, but you will read the user reviews because that will tell you. Well, you can do that within your own organization through this sort of thing. They are helping each other through, if you like, user reviews, even down to something as basic as which is the best GP to go to in town. We also, I said we communicate with people digitally. I'll just finish up to say we'll also communicate with them physically and financially. Physically, we offer, and I won't sort of they're on our stand, I can show you later, but we offer everybody a welcome pack, a really smart welcome pack. This is actually Hertz, but we do it for all our clients. And inside, there's always a guide to where they're going. There's always a gift, which is typically a spa voucher, but it could be something else. There's a couple of other gifts in there. It's a very good way to engage tangibly with somebody before they start work or when they're relocating to say, this is what we're doing. The other area where we engage with them is financially, which is very simple, is we offer all our clients' employees an interest-free loan for 6 months to pay their first deposit when they move into a new town. Completely interest-free, no catches, no charges, no hidden charges. And the first company, our very first client was Google, which is not a bad first client to have. And Google asked us to do this. And Google are not a company that are short of cash. But their point was, I'm sure it's the same for you, is it's actually quite difficult for you guys to do it. You've got to go through payroll, it's complex. These people aren't actually employees at the time they're being offered this. Okay, they've just had a job offer. Whereas we can do it because we're an independent party, and we will do that. I'm out of time. So if you want to come by our stand, you can find out more. I should say we actually offer this service in over 10,000 locations worldwide. So that's it, and hopefully that's disrupted you a little bit. Thank you.